There's a saying whispered among mystics, scholars, and seekers of the hidden path. A saying attributed not to the Jesus of Sunday sermons, but to the Jesus of secret teachings and inner circles. The Jesus whose words were said to ignite revelations rather than rituals. It begins with a paradox. Whoever finds the body, the world is not worthy of him. At first glance, it sounds cryptic, almost impossibly so. What does it mean to find the body? And why would such a discovery render the entire world unworthy of the one who achieves it? Is it a rejection of material existence, a mystical rebirth, a forgotten key to spiritual mastery? Tonight, we venture into the shadows between history and myth, into the cracks where banned scrolls, suppressed gospels, and esoteric traditions left hints of a deeper message. This is where the figure of Jesus is not solely a healer or a martyr, but a teacher of hidden inner alchemy, a revealer of mysteries, a guide into the dimensions of consciousness that lie beneath the surface of ordinary life. In this exploration, we're not dealing with dogma or doctrine. We're stepping into the realm of the Say's inner gospel. The teachings meant not for the crowds, but for those with ears to hear and eyes to see. And it is here, tucked inside the enigmatic sayings of the Gospel of Thomas, that this mysterious instruction emerges like a cipher pointing inward. In the minutes ahead, we will unravel the layers behind this phrase, its origins, its hidden symbolism, and its breathtaking implications for anyone walking a spiritual path today. We'll trace its trail through ancient deserts where monks meditated in silence, through Gnostic sects that believed enlightenment begins within the human vessel, and through mystical traditions that all echo the same truth: that finding the body is not about flesh, but awakening. And perhaps this statement holds the secret to why so many spiritual seekers feel a strange tension with the world around them, as if they were meant to stand just slightly beyond its boundaries. So let's begin this journey together. Let's step into the mystery, and let's discover why, once the body is truly found, the world can no longer hold you. To understand the weight of the saying, "Whoever finds the body, the world is not worthy of him," we must step out of the familiar versions of history and enter the forgotten corridors where early Christianity, Gnosticism, and ancient wisdom traditions intersected. This is territory rarely charted in mainstream discussions, where the Jesus we think we know expands into a far more enigmatic figure. The phrase comes from the Gospel of Thomas, a collection of 114 sayings discovered in 1945 near Nag Hammadi, Egypt, a find that shook scholars, historians, and spiritual seekers alike. These weren't narrative accounts of miracles or parables tied to villages and vineyards. These were riddles, esoteric teachings aimed not at the masses, but at those seeking direct knowledge of the divine. In these sayings, Jesus becomes less of a preacher and more of an illuminator, a master of consciousness, pointing disciples toward inner transformation rather than external salvation. In the ancient world, there were multiple streams of spiritual thought running parallel, influencing one another in surprising ways. Jewish mysticism, Egyptian temple wisdom, Greek philosophical schools, and early Christian communities coexisted in a time of vibrant spiritual experimentation. Gnostics, who emphasized experiential knowledge, gnosis, believed that each human carried a spark of the divine, trapped within layers of illusion, conditioning, and material distraction. To them, the body was not merely flesh and bone. It was the vessel, the temple, the microcosm of the universe. It was the crossroads where spirit and matter met. And finding the body meant discovering its hidden architecture, its energy, its consciousness, its divine imprint. Yet these teachings were controversial. They implied that enlightenment was an inner revelation rather than a reward granted by institutions. No priest, no temple, no external authority was necessary. This alone threatened the structures of power in both religious and political realms. And so, throughout history, many of these esoteric teachings were marginalized, suppressed, or labeled heretical. The Gospel of Thomas itself vanished for nearly 2 millennia, surviving only as rumor until a clay jar buried in the desert brought it back into the light. But the concept at the heart of our focus today did not belong solely to early Christian mystics. Similar ideas appear in the Upanishads, where sages teach that the physical form houses layers of subtle bodies. In Egyptian traditions, the human being was composed of multiple energetic components, the Ka, Ba, and Akhe, each representing different dimensions of existence. Even in ancient Greek philosophy, the body was seen as a gateway. The inscription at the Temple of Delphi, "Know thyself," referred not just to personality, but to the entire structure of human consciousness. Across civilizations, the body was not something to escape. It was something to unveil. A coded map, a sacred instrument. So when Jesus says, "Whoever finds the body, the world is not worthy of him," the phrase is not an isolated spiritual riddle. It is part of a larger ancient understanding, a secret shared across cultures, but expressed in different languages. It points to an awakening so profound that the seeker begins to perceive reality through a higher lens. The world, its illusions, its attachments, its dramas, loses its grip. This is why such knowledge became hidden, because a person who awakens to the full mystery of their being is no longer easily controlled, no longer swayed by fear, no longer bound by the ordinary world. And it is here, in the whispers of ancient wisdom, that we find the first clue to unraveling the deeper meaning of Jesus' statement. The body is not just a physical structure, it is the doorway to liberation. In the next section, we will step through this doorway and begin decoding what it truly means to find the body, metaphysically, spiritually, and psychologically. To begin decoding this enigmatic instruction, whoever finds the body, the world is not worthy of him. We must approach it as ancient seekers would, not with literalism, but with vision. In mystical traditions, truth is rarely handed to you in plain form. Instead, it's hidden in paradoxes and symbols designed to awaken something deeper than logic. So what does it actually mean to find the body? Imagine for a moment that you are handed a map, but this isn't a map of land or sky. It's a map of yourself. Every sensation, every breath, every thought, every subtle vibration running through your form becomes part of a larger landscape. When Jesus speaks of the body, he is pointing toward this inner terrain. The body as a living scripture, a coded manuscript written in flesh and energy. For most of us, the body is just an object we carry, a vehicle we occasionally maintain, sometimes judge, often ignore. But to the ancient mystic, the body is the first temple, the original oracle, the place where divine consciousness expresses itself in physical form. To find the body, then, is not to locate it. It's to awaken inside it. It is to realize that it is not a burden or a cage, but a gateway. Think of a house you've lived in your whole life, yet only visited a handful of its rooms. Maybe you've spent years in the main hallway, the routine thoughts, the daily emotions, the surface-level sensations. But one day, a door inside you unlocks. You step through, and suddenly you're in a vast chamber you didn't know existed. Still part of your house, but far beyond your normal awareness. Finding the body is discovering these hidden rooms. In Eastern traditions, this might be called realizing the subtle body. In Hermetic teachings, it would be awakening the astral and spiritual layers of one's form. In Christian mysticism, it was sometimes described as putting on the luminous garment. Every tradition points toward the same revelation, that the physical body is just the outer garment of something far more expansive. And once a person awakens to this deeper architecture, something dramatic happens. The world begins to lose its power over them. Not the earth, not nature, but the world as a human-made construct. The pressures, the illusions, the fears, the expectations, the collective trance. This is what the saying means when it claims the world is not worthy of such a person. It's not a judgment. It's a realization of misalignment. Someone who has awakened to their inner vastness cannot be defined or confined by the ordinary world. But there's more. Embedded in the phrase is another layer. The body as the place where the divine and the human meet. Esoteric Christianity long taught that the kingdom of heaven is not elsewhere. It is within you and all around you, but you do not see it. This kingdom is not a location, it's a state of consciousness. To find the body is to locate the doorway to this kingdom inside your own being. Imagine discovering an ancient temple buried beneath your home, dusty, forgotten, untouched for centuries, and inside it, symbols, secrets, and echoes of a higher truth waiting for you to awaken them. That temple is the body, and once you find its inner altar, the outer world, built on fear, distraction, and separation, can no longer anchor you to its illusions. But this raises deeper questions. What exactly is hidden in this inner body? Why would Jesus cloak such a profound truth in a single sentence? And what happens when one actually steps through the metaphorical doorway and experiences this revelation firsthand? To answer these, we must go further than anatomy or philosophy. We must explore the layers of the self that ancient teachers spoke of, the veils between the earthly form and the luminous essence within. That is where the real meaning of this teaching begins to unfold. If Part 1 revealed the doorway to understanding this teaching, Part 2 invites us to step through it completely. And here, the mystery deepens. To find the body is not just to awaken within the physical form. It is to understand the body as a layered instrument, a multi-dimensional vessel, and each layer holds a key to why the world becomes unworthy of those who truly discover it. Ancient esoteric traditions often described the human being as composed of multiple bodies: the physical, emotional, mental, energetic, and spiritual. These weren't separate entities, but nested dimensions, like concentric circles or Russian dolls, each influencing the next. Most people throughout their lives only identify with the outermost shell, the physical body and its immediate sensations. This is the domain of survival, fear, attachment, and societal conditioning. But to the mystics, this outer body was simply the mom mask, the surface of something infinitely more profound. When Jesus speaks of finding the body, he is pointing toward the discovery of this entire multidimensional structure. He is pointing toward the moment when a seeker shifts identification from the outermost layer to the innermost truth, the radiant consciousness observing everything. This shift is not intellectual, it is experiential, and it changes everything. Imagine a person who has believed all their life that they are a character in a play, not realizing they are, in fact, the actor. The moment they awaken to the actor within, the stage itself becomes less real, less binding, less intimidating. The script loses its power. The applause and criticism alike become mere echoes. This is why the world becomes not worthy of such a person. Not because they are superior, but because they are no longer hypnotized by the stage. They see through the illusions. Most people live in what mystics called the horizontal world, a world of constant movement, grasping, and reaction. But one who finds the body begins living in the vertical axis, the inner ascent toward higher awareness. They perceive layers of reality that others overlook. They move through life with a lightness, a clarity, a grounded presence that seems almost supernatural. This is the kind of person who radiates peace in chaos, who sees the hidden motives behind actions, who senses the movement of energy in a room, who lives with purpose rather than compulsion. Such an individual becomes a citizen of two worlds, the physical world and the deeper world of awareness. Yet there is a deeper paradox in Jesus' statement. If the body is the gateway, why cloak this truth in secrecy? Why express it in a way that requires decoding? Because in ancient esoteric traditions, mysteries were not meant to be explained. They were meant to be realized. Knowledge transmitted too easily becomes mere information. But knowledge uncovered through inner search becomes transformation. Another layer of the teaching lies in the word find. It suggests that the body has been lost, not physically, but spiritually. The modern world encourages disembodiment, living in the mind, living in distraction, living in projected identities. Many people spend more time in imagined futures and replayed pasts than in the living presence of their own bodies. To find the body is to return home. And when the seeker does, something profound occurs. The sense of separation dissolves. They no longer feel like an isolated self moving through a hostile world. Instead, they experience the body as a microcosm of the cosmos itself. The currents of breath echo the rhythms of wind and tide. The pulse mirrors the movements of stars. The inner silence reflects the primordial stillness from which creation emerges. This is why such a person becomes not worthy of the world. Not because the world cannot value them, but because the world can no longer define them. They have stepped out of the collective dream. They belong to a higher order of being. Still, this teaching remains more than a philosophical puzzle. It is a practical path, one that can be walked, sensed, experienced. And the real secret of this saying lies not in understanding it, but in embodying it. In the next section, we will explore how to do exactly that, how to find the body in your own life, and what transformations unfold when you begin living from your deeper, truer center. Understanding this teaching is only the beginning. The true power of whoever finds the body, the world is not worthy of him, is unlocked only when it becomes an experience, not a concept. The mystics never intended these insights to remain in scrolls. They were meant to reshape daily life, breath by breath, moment by moment. So how do you begin to find the body? Let's explore practical, grounded methods that bridge ancient wisdom with modern life. Practices designed not to escape the world, but to awaken within it. 1. The art of returning to presence. Most people drift through life in a state of internal absence, caught in thoughts, worries, and roles. To find the body, the first step is simple. Return to the present moment by sensing the body from within. Right now, pause. Feel the weight of your body sitting or standing. Feel the breath entering and leaving. Feel the subtle tingling in your hands, the vibration in your feet, the quiet hum of aliveness inside you. This is the doorway. Mystics across cultures taught that inner presence is the first awakening. Unless you rediscover the living field of sensation inside you, the deeper layers remain inaccessible. Practice this throughout the day, even for a few seconds at a time. Each return builds a bridge from unconscious reaction to conscious embodiment. Namyar. 2. Breath is a key to higher awareness. The breath is the ancient teacher often hiding in plain sight. It is the thread connecting the outer world to the inner realm. Many esoteric texts describe breath as the spirit wind, the carrier of divine intelligence. To find the body, begin with conscious breathing. Inhale slowly for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale for 4. Pause for 1. But the important part is not the rhythm, it's feeling. Feel the breath fill the belly, the ribs, the chest. Feel the exhale soften the muscles. Each breath is a reminder that the body is not an object. It is a living, intelligent field. Practice this whenever stress pulls you out of yourself. The breath will guide you back. 3. Listening to the inner signals. One of the most overlooked aspects of spiritual practice is learning to listen, not to thoughts, but to the body's subtle signals. When you quiet your mind and tune inward, you begin to sense areas of tightness or openness, energetic currents moving through the body, instinctive yes, no responses, emotional residues stored in tissues. This is not imagination. Modern somatic psychology affirms what ancient mystics already knew. The body carries memory, intuition, and intelligence. To find the body is to become fluent in its language. Each sensation becomes a message. Each contraction becomes a doorway. Each breath becomes a teacher. 4. Embodied awareness in daily life. The real challenge is not sensing the body during meditation. It's staying connected while moving through the world. Try this. When you walk, feel your feet touching the ground. When you speak, feel your chest and throat. When you make decisions, feel your gut response before your mind's argument. When conflict arises, anchor awareness in your breath instead of the emotional storm. These simple acts lift you from unconscious living into embodied consciousness. The world begins to lose its power over you because you are no longer reacting. You are responding from presence. 5. Overcoming the obstacles. As you deepen this practice, you may encounter resistance, mental noise, emotional turbulence, or the old urge to distract yourself. This is normal. You're not losing the path. You're moving deeper into it. When obstacles arise, slow down. Return to the breath. Feel the body. Allow sensations without judgment. Remember, the world is not unworthy because it is bad. It becomes unworthy because you begin to operate from a higher center. One grounded, clear, and awake. When you find the body, you discover the inner stillness that cannot be bought, shaken, or defined. The world's distractions lose their grip. You step into sovereignty. And from that moment on, you walk not merely as a personality, but as a conscious being, awake within the temple of your own existence. As we come to the end of this journey, the enigmatic phrase that began our exploration, "Whoever finds the body, the world is not worthy of him," should now feel less like an ancient puzzle and more like an invitation, an open door, a challenge spoken across centuries directly to you. Because this teaching is not about superiority. It's not about rejecting the world or rising above others. It is about awakening to what you truly are. Beneath the layers of habit, identity, fear, and conditioning, it's about reclaiming the inner temple that has always been yours. When Jesus delivered this instruction, he wasn't prescribing a belief to adopt. He was pointing toward an experience, a discovery, a realization that the body is not just a shell, but a map, a vessel, a bridge between the seen and unseen. And when you truly step into that awareness, the world as you once knew it begins to shift. Its noise no longer drowns your clarity. Its pressures no longer crush your peace. Its illusions no longer bind your perception. You're still in the world, but not of its illusions. This is the essence of spiritual sovereignty. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your center, the unshakable stillness that remains even when life becomes turbulent, the inner compass that guides you not from fear, but from presence. And if more people discovered this, imagine how different the world would be. A humanity rooted not in reactivity, but in awareness, not in division, but in presence, not in sleep, but in wakefulness. As you move forward, let the practices we explored become part of your daily rhythm. Return to your breath. Feel the body from within. Anchor yourself in presence. Bit by bit, room by room, you will uncover the deeper architecture of your own being. And perhaps one day, you'll look back and realize that this saying was not a riddle after all. It was a reminder, a map, a truth waiting for you to embody it. If this journey stirred something within you, if it opened a door or sparked a question, share your reflections below. And if you're ready for deeper explorations into ancient wisdom and hidden teachings, make sure you join us for the next unveiling. The mystery continues, and so does the path.